Hello and welcome to US Icon Stories. I'm Tyler. Let's get started. 48 years of marriage, 14 months since the cardiac event, and one dog, a Harlequin Great Dane in Beaverton, Oregon, who began pressing his full weight against Ruth Hayashi at specific moments that had nothing to do with food or walks or routine. 23 minutes before the worst one yet, Ruth Hayashi did not believe in things she could not explain. She had taught middle school science for 30 years. She believed in evidence. She believed in replication. She believed in the well-designed study and the honest conclusion. She had raised two daughters on the principle that a feeling is not a fact until something confirms it. Kodiak had been Henry's idea. She had tried to talk him out of it. Great Danes were too much dog for a two-bedroom ranch house, she said. Too expensive. Too much food. Too much to manage alone if something happened. Henry said the house had 2 rooms they never used. They had the money and he had already put down the deposit. They drove to Eugene on a Saturday in October and came home with a 14-week-old Harlequin puppy who immediately lay down on the recliner and looked at Henry as if to say, "This one is mine." Henry named him Kodiak. He said it was because the dog was big enough to fight a bear. Ruth said that was a terrible reason to name a dog. Henry said terrible reasons made the best names. Kodiak learned to stand in the kitchen doorway and watch Henry cook without getting in the way, which was impressive for a 130-pound animal. For 2 years, this was the shape of their household. Henry and Kodiak in the kitchen. Ruth at the table with a book. Everything in its place. Henry died on a Tuesday morning in December. Acute cardiac event. He was 77. He had complained of fatigue for 2 weeks, and Ruth had made him a doctor's appointment for the following Thursday. The appointment was for Thursday. Kodiak slept at the front door for 3 weeks after Henry died. Ruth understood this. She did not move him. She brought his food to him at the door, sat with him on the hardwood floor in the evenings, said nothing. In the 4th week, he moved to her feet. In the 5th week, he began pressing against her. Not at mealtimes, not at walks, not when she cried, which she did privately, early in the mornings, in the bathroom where she thought he could not hear her. He pressed against her at other times, at random, or what appeared random, Tuesday afternoons, before her weekly call with May, the morning she found Henry's reading glasses on the bedside table where she had not moved them. Kodiak would lean his full weight against her left side and stay there, and she would push him back, and he would return within 30 seconds. The cycle would repeat, and then, not always immediately, sometimes 20 minutes later, sometimes more, a wave would come. Not the crying waves which she had mapped and managed. A different thing. A physical hollowness she did not have a word for, like standing in a room where all the air had been replaced with something that weighed more than air. She had started calling them the bad ones. They came without announcement until they didn't. Her daughter May visited in January. May said Kodiak was sensing Ruth's grief. Ruth said Kodiak was a dog, and the word sensing was not doing any scientific work in that sentence. May said Ruth was going to argue with the dog's feelings. Ruth said she was a retired science teacher and she had not argued with the dog's feelings in 74 years. And she was not going to start now. May stayed for 10 days and left. Kodiak pressed against Ruth the morning after May left. 18 minutes later, the worst bad one so far arrived and lasted 40 minutes. Kodiak lay against her the entire time. Ruth had explanations. disrupted routine, Kodiak sensed changes in the house's schedule and responded. Body language, she moved differently before the bad ones without realizing it. And he was reading her posture. Sound, her breathing changed before a grief episode, and he was responding to auditory cues. These were good explanations. They were the kind of explanations she would have offered a student who came to her with insufficient evidence. The timing was wrong for body language. The timing was wrong for routine. She noted this privately and did not tell May. She was not ready to say it out loud. It was February. She was doing the taxes. Henry had always done the taxes. She had found his system, careful, organized, color-coded folders going back to 1988, and she was working through it. Kodiak pressed against her left side at the kitchen table at 10:47 a.m. She pushed him back. He returned. She pushed him back. He returned. This continued for 11 minutes. At 10:58, she opened the folder marked 2023 joint. Henry's handwriting was on the first page, a list of figures written in the deliberate, slightly right-leaning print of a civil engineer who had made columns his whole life. The bad one arrived so fast she had to hold the table. Kodiak was already against her side. He had been there for 11 minutes. She brought it up with Dr. Patricia Owen almost as an afterthought. Near the end of a session in March, she described it precisely. The 11-minute period, the specific pressure, the arrival of the bad one, and said, "My dog seems to know before I do." She said it the way she might have said something slightly embarrassing. As if she was reporting a piece of evidence she had not decided whether to trust. Dr. Owen did not find this unusual. The physiological signature of acute grief is measurable before the conscious experience of it. A grief episode, the kind Ruth called the bad ones, is preceded by a predictable neuroendocrine cascade. Cortisol begins rising, norepinephrine shifts, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis responds. These hormonal changes produce volatile organic compound byproducts that appear in breath and perspiration. Within minutes to hours before the emotional experience becomes conscious, research from the University of Lincoln and published data in Psychoneuroendocrinology document canine detection of stress hormone concentrations and acute emotional state changes, with sensitivity that precedes behavioral observation by measurable intervals. The dog does not detect the grief itself. It detects the biochemical preparation for grief. The body organizing itself for an experience the mind does not yet know is coming. Kodiak had been detecting this for months. He pressed against Ruth during the 11 minutes before her body arrived at what her mind had not yet reached. She started letting him press against her when he began. She learned to sit down. She learned to put her hand on the back of his broad white neck and hold on to something that weighed more than she did. She had not stopped having the bad ones. She had stopped having them alone. May visited again in April. She found Ruth and Kodiak on the back porch early morning. Ruth's chair pulled close to Kodiak's position on the porch boards. Ruth's hand on the back of his neck, both of them looking at the garden. May asked if she was okay. Ruth said, "He knew 20 minutes ago. I'm catching up." If your dog has pressed his full weight against you at a specific moment, not asking for food, not asking for a walk, not responding to your tears, but leaning into you before you understood why, at a moment that felt random until something arrived afterward, that behavior is not affection-seeking. It is not routine disruption. The neuroendocrine cascade that precedes an acute emotional episode is detectable before you experience it. Your dog may be responding to changes in your biochemistry that you have not yet reached consciously. This is the body preparing. Your dog is already there. You will catch up. Ruth found Kodiak at the foot of the stairs the morning she finally opened Henry's closet. He had pressed against her 40 minutes before she made the decision to go up. She sat down on the bottom step with her hand on his neck and waited until she was ready. Then she went up. He followed 2 steps behind her the whole way. If this surprised you, what a rescue pit bull in a small apartment in Houston did for 11 nights straight, before anyone understood what he was waiting for, is harder to explain. That story is next.